Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
A massive warm welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast. Now, as you all know, I'm a big fan of serendipity and all those happy accidents that occur in life. But when I read about today's guest, I must admit, I thought for a moment I'd fallen into some kind of bizarro world or Twilight Zone moment, because his name is Neil, his surname begins with a H, he's from Derby, he's passionate about technology and Derby County Football Club, which freaked me out a little because I thought I was going to be interviewing myself today. But thankfully, it was nothing weird like that, because Neil Harris is a Chief Commercial Officer at Global Processing Services, GPS, which is a payments technology provider powering banks, digital wallets and fintech. And with more than 14 years of experience in the payments industry, Neil's key focus includes driving customer success by delivering added value and creating efficiency, all using technology. So GPS is the issuer processor that enables many of today's most high-profile fintech innovators and disruptors, and it's certified by Mastercard and Visa to process and manage any credit, debit or prepaid transaction globally. And GPS enables the emerging payments industry to deliver those breakthrough innovations through this unique combination that they have of proprietary technology, its people and their partners. But I wanted to find out more about the work that they're doing and also the consortium of leading tech enablers who have joined forces to launch beyond a new financial innovation platform. But enough from me. Let's get Neil onto the podcast now. Well, a massive warm welcome to the show, Neil. First of all, a great name, but can you tell the listeners a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Thanks, Neil. Hi, it's great to be here. I'm Neil Harris. I'm the Group CCO, so the Chief Commercial Officer at GPS. So GPS is the issuer processor enabling many of today's high-profile fintech innovators, disruptors and digital banks. We're certified by Mastercard and Visa to process and manage any credit, debit or prepaid transaction globally. So that's pretty unique within our market sector. And in terms of my role, I focus on three key things. Number one is customer success. Number two is our strategic partnerships, of which we have many. And number three is all around our global expansion. So it's a great role. It's a great company. I'm really super proud of who we are and how we got here.
And so you should be, because I've recently read that you guys have been called the Paytech Pioneer and also the GPS APEC issuer processing platform that is enabling next generation payment technology. But for people that are just hearing about you for the first time, can you possibly set the scene and tell me more about the kind of problems that you're solving and how you're doing things differently by leveraging technology?
Yeah, so it's a really good question, actually, because when we first launched as a business, actually, fintech wasn't a thing. It didn't exist quite as it does today. So we've been at the core of this kind of fintech revolution since it began after the 2008 financial crash, when the world realized that, well, there's too much influence and power in the hands of too few. So over that time, the problems have actually changed enormously. And so have also the solutions that we actually bring to the table. So in summary, I'd probably summarize the three key things as to what we're known for. Platform agility is top of the bill. Then reducing the complexity for customers. And thirdly, we're really trusted within the ecosystem. We have a really trusted partnership network as well. So if I go into very briefly the sort of platform agility, just to give you some context, as you say, we've powered many of the sorts of fintechs around the world, but we have lots of kind of world firsts under our belt. So in terms of the pays, we've worked with the schemes and Starling Bank for the first UK issuing bank to have a multiple access point to the pay. So Apple, Google, Fitbit, Garmin, Samsung Pay. We were there first in the UK. to launch that. We've powered the first world's payment ring on Mastercard with K-Ring, as well as the first world's payment ring on Visa with McClear. So super proud of that. Wearable being actually quite a cool enabler in tech for users along the way. We're also the first to offer a proxy card solution. That's a really technical term, but it basically means that you have one account or one card that can be linked to several other cards and accounts. So this has been leveraged by organizations like Curve, where you can use one card to basically manage multiple cards attached to that one card. It means you only need to ever take one card out with you at a time, but within the app you can just select which card you actually want to use. So it's super cool, and it's really kind of open banking before open banking existed. And then finally, we're really at the forefront in terms of financial inclusivity as well. We're making everyday spend, travel and FX more transparent, affordable by powering organizations such as Revolut, who we power globally today.
And one of the things that put you on my radar is, yes, you have more than 14 years of experience in the payments industry, but it's your key focus that includes driving customer success by delivering added value and creating efficiency all through technology. And that's what I find incredibly cool. But I am curious, where did that passion come from and what put you on this path?
Yeah, I'm a real believer that technology or fintech even doesn't serve anyone if it doesn't improve lives. What's the point in fintech if it does not improve lives? And I've been really fortunate throughout my entire career to have always worked with supportive and forward-thinking companies that share this view. I've also been mentored by some of the best brains in the industry. So I guess from a personal perspective, my personal drive comes really from a deep sense of wanting fairness and access for everyone. As I say, I've been really fortunate in my life, and if I can help somebody else by giving them the tools, then that drives me. I'm also a great believer in karma, and the phrase that Mastercard coined of doing well by doing good, I think really captures the essence of what we do at GPS.
And the world is so full of uncertainty at the moment. So I've got to ask, what kind of challenges are you seeing with financial and digital inclusion, and how are you guys tackling that problem?
Yeah, unfortunately, it is a huge problem, and especially in the COVID environment, those problems just surface and affect people. And as such, people are struggling today, not just in the UK and Europe, but globally. So as a company, we serve many organizations that provide options to these individuals that are otherwise financially excluded. We're really active within the financial inclusivity space, whether that's for for supporting programs for the old, the young, people with disabilities or mental health issues or immigration, whatever the reason for their particular exclusion. 1 in 4 people in the UK will experience some form of financial exclusion at some point in their life. So we're all potentially vulnerable, actually, to exclusion. And what's even more worrying is that there's actually 10 million households in the UK that don't have any savings. The Brits are well reported as the worst savers in Europe. So especially in hard times, we're expecting to, as we come out of this kind of COVID environment, unfortunately, we can expect many more people to find themselves on that vulnerability register. I think, from a digital exclusion perspective, that is a really tough one to fix. It's a multi-pronged approach that's needed, and it's certainly a bigger issue than one industry can tackle alone. It's also too large for the government to tackle alone. But the UK government are a brilliant enabler. They've set about new regulations and an environment that creates competition. So, I'm pretty confident that we'll get there. We just need to remember to include everybody along in that journey. So those people who are dependent on cash, we need to help them get digitally and financially included before there's any kind of talk of cashless society, etc.
Well, one of the things I have noticed on that front is a shift away from physical cash, especially during the coronavirus pandemic, as people are a little bit more wary of cash and where it's been because of the whole germ thing. But there are seem to be increasing debates around e-wallets versus e-banking and that kind of thing. So is that something you're seeing? Is it something you can expand on?
Yeah, you bang on, Neil. Cash usage has dropped by over 60% in the last few months. What's more, there are some positives though, in that, 12% of UK adults, that's 6 million people, have actually downloaded their bank's app for the first time in the last 6 weeks. So that's a huge surge towards getting digitally and financially included and digitally enabled with the banking community. We've also seen that people have switched their banking providers more than ever, with 113,000 people switching in April alone using the current account switching service. So that's a service that's operated by the UK Payments Authority, Pay UK, and it's one of the highest months ever in the history of that service since it started. So it's an amazing result for the move towards a digital economy. But again, I can't stress enough, we need to ensure that those individuals who are still entirely dependent on cash, and in the UK, there's a lot of them. There's over 1.23 million adults in the UK that are entirely dependent on cash. So those individuals need to be supported along the way. We need to make sure that they're taken along that journey as the world is clearly moving towards a cashless society.
And I'm curious, are there any other payment industry trends that you're seeing out there at the moment?
Yeah, financial inclusivity is definitely key at the moment. Really proud that a large number of our banks and our fintechs have launched additional products and services like a companion card to support those vulnerable people. So the companion card basically allows the account holder to give a carer or a volunteer or a family member an additional card to help them get their shopping while in lockdown. So think of the elderly or single parents who literally can't get to the supermarkets because it's not safe for them. So really proud that we're powering a lot of those initiatives at the moment. But that's a very kind of temporary thing given the COVID environment. Kind of pre-COVID and on a more global level, we're also seeing a large number of existing businesses and retailers actually launch into the banking space for the first time. Telcos started this back in sort of 2012. There was a push for telcos because they've got the customers and the brands. But surely it makes sense for them to have financial services, but it really wasn't. It was the right thinking. It just was the wrong time. I don't think the community and the market, the wider market was actually ready for that at the time. But now actually people are engaging with technology much more so than ever before. So these big brands, these retailers are recognizing that they've got the customers, they've got the trusted brands. And thanks to accelerator products and solutions that are on the market, such as one that's called Beyond, it's they're an accelerated launch pad for new digital banks to speed up their go-to-market and the simplicity for those companies to take their solution to market. So really proud to be powering that initiative as well, so that organizations can bring their new offerings and their ideas to life in less than 6 weeks, which even a year ago was unimaginable.
And I think it's also worth highlighting that you are the chair of the Inclusion Foundation and a board member of the Emerging Payments Association, where I believe you're a part of this leading task force to provide benchmarking capabilities within the industry, but all in order to determine the level of impact fintechs have in tackling these financial inclusion issues that we've been talking about today. But for any of those fintech fans out there that will be listening all over the world, can you tell me a little bit more about that work and ultimately what excites you about that space?
Yeah, thanks. I'm super proud of what we've achieved within the inclusivity arena. I'm really passionate about that. Anyone that knows me knows I've kind of got inclusion stamped throughout my body. We actually last year launched the Inclusion Foundation, or rather set up the Inclusion Foundation. As you know, and it's probably one of the most proudest moments of my entire career, because it's just full to the brim with purpose, and that purpose is really in helping people. So we began our journey over 3 years ago as a group of, let's be honest, we were kind of fintech geeks from across the payments industry. We were working from an incubator called Project Inclusion at the Emerging Payments Association. And the EPA provided us with the home and the resources for this concept, for this project, and they were really the catalyst for the social enterprise that we've just launched. The foundation itself is a not-for-profit social enterprise. We believe that in 2020 everybody deserves fair access to payment and banking services, and that's what we seek to achieve as our mission through our comparison website. So it's to link those 1.23 million people who are cash dependent, who are unbanked, but also 13 million people, 13 million adults within the UK who are underserved by their current provider. And the stats that I quoted earlier just display the fact that there's, in 1 month alone, 113,000 people chose to move to a different service and try it out. There's definitely a need for different products and services for the various reasons why people are underserved and unbanked. So we've got an accreditation program that we also run. That's principally for the service providers to apply for an inclusion kite mark. And this is all about, when we kind of step back and, well, why are we doing this? It's all about pushing the benchmark higher, so that every year on year, as we're applying the kite marks and we're accrediting those organizations, the products and services get better and better, and ultimately the end consumers will benefit.
Now, there is so much doom and gloom out there, which makes it so refreshing to speak with someone that's so positive and passionate about everything that they're doing, especially because of the impending global recession, if the news is correct in what's coming our way. But can you tell me a little bit more about the positive economic impact of financial inclusion and how it will be driven forward amidst this impending global recession? Because I think we need a bit of good news right now, don't we?
We do, mate, indeed. I love our country. I'm really proud, and I love our currency. It's a symbol of our country. It's a symbol of our history and our sovereign state. As a kid, I kind of loved counting my pocket money. I'd get 50p every week, and I'd change it into 10p coins just so that I had more coins to count. I don't want to sound like Gollum, but it was very precious, and I was always, kind of aware of the importance and the significance of money. But, the sad reality is cash is really expensive to manufacture. It's costly to process. It's costly to store securely. It's inconvenient. And as you said earlier, it is dirty. When things are being passed around millions of people's hands with the currency in circulation. But it is a well-studied fact that actually financial access is an essential factor towards generating economic growth. So it's not all about just having a bank account. That's not what financial inclusion is about. It's about the savings that people can make by having access to those accounts. So there's this thing called the poverty premium that people pay over and above because of the use of cash. So they can't apply for things such as direct debits and get the early payment and the surety of the provider of the service. So they miss out on discounts. So they pay over and above. There's convenience with the bank account, but there's also customer protection that comes along with an account. And that's what we're seeing now with so many airlines kind of cancelling flights, etc. Thank goodness for your credit card and your debit card that actually protects you as a consumer. So I'll give you one real example, which was a study that was carried out in Newcastle a couple of years back. People were provided with their social benefits, so their government benefits, through a digital account for the first time instead of cash. Not only did they find it more convenient and easy, but actually they saved on average 10 hours a month in commuting and waiting for those benefit payments. So they'd have to travel every week to go and collect the money. So it's an hour there, it's half an hour queuing, and it's an hour back. And so they saved a huge amount of time in having that digital access. So, in other words, financial inclusion actually enhances the economic empowerment of the individual and frees people up to be productive and get on with their lives. So I agree. I agree that there's a lot of doom and gloom at the moment, but it will pass. And with our government's commitment to social welfare reform, which has been pushed to 2025, we've got time to get our ducks in a row and make sure that we help those people who are excluded and help those people who are cash dependent, find an alternative digital solution that meets their needs.
And looking towards the future for you guys, can you tell me a little bit more about GPS's global expansion? Because it sounds like you've got an incredibly exciting few months ahead for yourselves as well.
We've been on an amazing journey and super proud of the team for all we've achieved on a global level, let alone from a UK and Europe perspective. We've driven some amazing and really exciting growth and global expansion within the business over the last 12 months. We are based, so our global headquarters is based in London in the UK. We have an office in Newcastle as well. And over the last 12 months, we've invested heavily in our expansion overseas to Asia with a new regional headquarters in Singapore. And an office in Sydney, Australia as well. So these two offices have been a major success story for the business. They've absolutely hit the ground running. And what's great now is that it's not the organisation that we have today and the regional headquarters in Singapore and the office in Sydney. It's not just about serving those organisations based in Southeast Asia. It's also placing us in a position to truly support our customers on a global basis with a follow the sun support model, so all of our customers can benefit. So we are planning to launch further offices across the globe this year and into next year as well. So watch this space.
Fantastic. And before I let you go, for anyone that would like to find out more information about the work that you're doing and keep up to speed with the direction that you're heading, what's the best way of finding you online and also contacting your team if they've got any questions?
Yeah, so from a GPS perspective, you can contact us through the website. For the Inclusion Foundation, the website is theinclusionfoundation.org. It's a not-for-profit social enterprise, so it's a .org rather than a company. And by all means, feel free to personally link in with me. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm a great believer in the social networks as well. So happy to get connected.
Well, a huge thank you for joining me today. Your passion really shines through for everything that you're doing here. And I love the success story behind it, the global expansion and the talk about fintech geekery. But what really excites me is it's taken me 1,200 episodes to actually find another Neil from Derby who likes tech and Derby County. I don't think that's going to happen again. So a big thank you for joining me today, Neil.
That's brilliant. Thanks so much, Neil. We're a rare find, mate. That's all I can say.
At the heart of its capability is GPS Apex, which is its single global issuer processing platform, built entirely by its own payment experts. And GPS Apex also offers easy integration with issuers, program managers, card manufacturers, and many other service providers. And I believe it's also integrated with over 40 issuing banks globally and operates programs in 60 different countries using 150 currencies, all of which enables its clients to innovate and deliver exciting new value propositions for its end users around the world. All very impressive, but more than anything, I just love Neil's passion to make a difference, and his positivity really is a breath of fresh air. So for those reasons alone, I do hope that one day in the not too distant future, maybe we can sit together, have a cold beer and a pie, watching the playoff final, cheering Derby County back into the Premiership. I know I'm probably pushing my luck with the universe with a crazy suggestion like that, but hey, if Steve Bloomer's watching, you know what to do. Seriously though, keep your questions coming over to me at techblogwriter@outlook.com. My social channels, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram is just at Neil C. Hughes. And you can find my website, techblogwriter.co.uk, if any of you out there needs help with business blogs, thought leadership content, or help launching your own podcast. So keep those messages coming in and I'll reply straight back to you. And if you don't worry, I'll return same time tomorrow with another guest. So thanks for listening. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.